Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. That's what Carl Gustav Jung said. We live in an era where we accumulate degrees, titles, and achievements. But we don't know ourselves. We know everything about politics, science, and technology. But when we close our eyes and look within, what we find is silence, discomfort, or fear. Why do we feel empty even when everything seems to be in place? Why do we repeat patterns, sabotage relationships, have strange dreams and impulses we can't control? Maybe it's because we're trying to build a conscious life while ignoring the invisible foundations of our psyche. That's where Carl Gustav Jung comes in, one of the first thinkers to realize that what disturbs us is not a sign of weakness. It's an invitation. Jung began alongside Freud, exploring the unconscious as a hidden force behind human behavior. But soon he realized something. We weren't just dealing with repressed traumas. We were dealing with something much deeper, mysterious, even spiritual. Freud saw the unconscious as a storage of forbidden impulses, mostly sexual and aggressive. Jung began to see it as a symbolic field, full of images that didn't just come from the past, but from what we long to become. That difference changes everything. For Freud, healing meant freeing oneself from trauma. For Jung, it meant integrating every part of the self. But what, after all, lives in the unconscious? Jung proposed that it has two layers. The first, more superficial, is the personal unconscious, where forgotten memories, wounds, fears, and complexes reside. It's like the basement of your biography. The second, deeper one, is the collective unconscious, a symbolic territory shared by all of humanity. There live the universal images, the archetypes, the great mother, the wise old man, the hero, the shadow, the divine child. You might dream of your mother. That comes from your personal unconscious. But if you dream of a sorceress guiding you through a dark forest, that comes from somewhere else. A place that isn't just yours. It's human. Your story merges with the story of humanity. And to better understand how all this works, Jung proposed a model of the psyche with 3 layers. Imagine your mind as a house. In the front room, brightly lit, lives the ego. That's the part you know. Your name, your job, your tastes, your opinions. It's the I that speaks when you say, I'm anxious, I'm outgoing, I'm a designer. In the back hallways lives the personal unconscious. There you'll find childhood fears, traumas, forbidden desires, things you've lived but don't remember, or chose to forget. And down in the darkest basement is the collective unconscious, a deep field where ancient, universal symbols live, things you never learned, but somehow always knew. These 3 layers influence each other all the time. You may think you made a rational decision, but sometimes it was your unconscious that chose. Now, what fuels all of this? What is the engine of the psyche? For Jung, that energy is libido, but not in the sexual sense that Freud proposed. Libido, for Jung, is vital energy. It's the impulse that moves us. A child building a sandcastle is using libido. A teenager writing songs for someone who doesn't even know they exist is too. A frustrated adult venting online is expressing libido in a distorted way. This energy can become art, passion, knowledge, spirituality, or destruction. The question isn't, do I have libido? The real question is, where is it going? And here we return to the central metaphor. You live in a house, but you only inhabit the brightly lit room. You've never entered the locked doors. You've never gone down to the basement. Jungian analytical psychology is the invitation to explore the whole house. And by doing so, you find forgotten parts of yourself. Parts that hurt, but also heal. Now that you understand libido as the vital energy of your psyche, the force that drives your choices, desires, and impulses, I want to propose something simple, yet powerful. Observe. Where is your energy going? Most people let their libido leak through invisible cracks. Hours and hours on social media. Pointless arguments, silent addictions, fantasies without action. Not because they're weak, but because they're unconscious. Libido doesn't disappear, it transforms. If it's not used to create, it begins to destroy. If it doesn't become art, it becomes anxiety. If it doesn't become love, it becomes obsession. If it doesn't become a path, it becomes a prison. So I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, where, today, am I wasting my energy? And more importantly, what is calling me, but I've been ignoring it? Maybe it's that project you keep postponing, or a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a desire to express yourself, to dance, paint, write, that you've repressed out of fear of being ridiculous. Now listen, if something inside you pulses, even if it seems silly, small, or out of place, that's your unconscious asking for space. That's your libido calling you back to life. So here's the exercise. Choose one single thing that feels like it's asking for your attention, something that awakens your curiosity, desire, or even discomfort, and direct your libido toward that over the next 48 hours. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to show it to anyone. It just needs to be true. It could be writing one page, making one phone call, taking the first step on a project, or even cleaning your room with full presence, as if you were cleaning a room in your soul. This is the beginning. Directing your libido consciously is like reclaiming the reins of your psyche. It's starting to live with purpose, not just in reaction. The energy is already there. The question is, will you let it drag you, or will you learn to guide it? Jung didn't want followers. He wanted to awaken courage. He wanted each person to look within and have enough bravery to cross the unknown. We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. In the next part of this series, we'll talk about archetypes, those eternal images that live in you, even if you've never read a single myth. If something inside you has awakened, keep going, because this isn't just psychology, it's the beginning of a journey.